Big Daddy Orville is finally on Global. If you have not seen every video that I've ever made talking about this character, then you're in for it because this guy is ridiculous. From the amount of damage to the amount of art gauge he can generate, he is absolutely deserving of an anniversary character, and he's going to be so beneficial for so many teams out there. But let me not just glaze him, let me actually tell you what he does so you can understand his full power. Whenever you pop Orville D's super art, you are able to get a brand new equip known as Super EX Grand Verge. This will replace whatever equip is in his 5/6 star equip slot. Once you have Super EX Grand Verge, you're able to use it for its entire duration, but of course, just like with most other equips in this game, it has a skill, and its skill says that it increases all allies' arts by 20. 20 art gauge is pretty good, but I also want you guys to look at the modifier here. It is 20,000. This is insane because this also generates art gauge. Some of you guys may be like, wait, OP, what do you mean? B is kind of a forgotten game mechanic. To an extent, a lot of people still use it in very specialized setups, but most of the time you can get by with just using art gauge generation. But B is another method to generate arts. Every time you use an equip or skill, you may see that some of these BE orbs pop up. These orbs give you 10 art gauge, but here's the catch. It is completely random who these orbs go into. And this is one of the reasons why people don't use BE to generate arts, and they just use art gauge because it's more consistent. However, being able to layer BE on top of your art gauge buffs make it to where your team is even faster with the arts gen than you could ever imagine. If you want to know how much BE Orville is generating, well, we can take a look at this formula here, which is from 7 years ago. Super random name posted this on Reddit, but what we're mainly looking at here is just the 660% damage dealt. Since we know we need 660% damage to generate 1 BE, we can do 20,000 divided by 660, and that means every time we use this equip, we're getting around 30 BE. This does sound crazy, but there are factors as well that we must consider that Orville may not always generate 30 BE. Some stages allow you to generate less BE, like there's a cap on it, and other stages allow you to generate more BE, like the training stage. But what this pretty much translates to is that Orville is able to generate a ton of BE for his team on top of the 20 burst art gauge that it gives. Of course, filling up the art gauge is one thing, but that's not all that Orville can do. He's also able to buff up his own attack and increase his own arts with his art. His true art is giving a stat increase and a defense ignore. And then finally, his passives are very good. If you're alongside other light allies, you can keep increasing your own damage up to a maximum of 320%. If you have him alongside fire allies, he gets more art gauge, which is pretty solid. But he has one more that's a little bit of a sleeper buff, and I personally love it. Increase all allies crit res by 30%. That is invaluable in so many pieces of hard content. Of course, if you really want to round out Orville's entire kit, we can put on his true weapon to give him 50% more damage and flinch res. So how exactly would you go about making the most of his kit and being able to abuse all of his different mechanics? In reality, what you want to do is treat this guy a little bit like Ultimate Paladin Roy. Trying to rush into his super art will be really good in most content. In sustain, you don't have to feel as rushed to do it, but still, you know, you want to be in it pretty quick because he is at his best once his super equip comes online. In order to do that, you can make use of a bunch of different items for physical that just give you a burst of art gauge, like Ashura for an example. His magic slot could even be used for more art gauge as well, but just know only one attack in his whole kit actually does magic damage, so be careful if you actually use something that buffs up your magic damage but just gives you tons of arts, like Ren's outfit for an example. And then the 5-star defense, unless you just absolutely need that defense slot for something else, could be used to slot in like a black trike or whatever. Not to mention he also has 30 arts on his skill, and if you put an art gauge up crest on him, well, there you go, you already have 65 art gauge on top of whatever art gauge you're getting from all of your equips. I personally wish that his true weapon gave him like 100 art gauge at the start of the quest or something, just to make him a bit faster and a bit easier to get into that 300 arts. Cause sure, increasing his own damage by 50% is nice, but he already has so many damage ups in the kit, I don't think he really needs that. Now, one thing you may be under the impression of is that Orville D is only good on light teams or fire teams, which is completely not true. This guy is going to be able to be a final slot character for a lot of different teams, but you just need somebody that has a bit more arch gen and a bit better defense capabilities than some other characters. Slotting Orville into that last slot is going to make any team so much better whenever you need those things. I'm going to be summoning for this guy, and I highly recommend that all of you summon for him as well because he is incredible. But he is not the only character on his banner. You guys know, everybody's got to have some banner mates, and he has quite a few. Technically, it's just all of his siblings and him himself. Now, all these guys are getting Dream Awakening, apart from, of course, Sword God Luan. He's an Ascended character. Let's actually talk about him first, since he's the other Ascended unit on here. Sword God Luan is a very good Ascended character. He's kind of the Mono Dark variety leader. I don't know how else to put it. He wants people on his team that are from different races. His best team is unfortunately not out yet. That team consists of like Sword God Luan, Shadow, Natasha, and then whoever you want into that last slot there to be able to buff that team to Kingdom Come. Outside of that little Mono Dark setup, I don't really use him too much, even though there are some areas where you could. Since he has so much HP scaling, you could technically maybe take him into like Grand Crusade, kind of similar to what you do with Summer Sistina. But in most cases, I don't use him for that. I only use him in his Mono Dark team setup, which as mentioned before, just is not at full power yet. Light Orville and all the other Cross the Blaze characters that are getting their Dream Awakenings should receive minor buffs to their kit. That's what they usually do. So that's gonna make him a bit stronger, but Orville himself is just a huge beat stick. He just does tons of damage and that's that. With his Dream Awakening, you could maybe go with a Dark Dream to give him a bit more damage against demons, specialize him into a specific killer, and as long as you buff him, he'll probably do some pretty decent damage. Of course, nowhere near the levels of like some of the other Ascendant options we have, but still a very solid option. Lisa will be getting a Dream Awakening too, and I really like her Light Dream for her. I think this is going to be great, especially if you already have this character just in your box. Being able to ascend her to the Light Dream is just going to help her out a lot. But of course, if you want to go with the Earth Dream, I don't think that's a bad option either. HP Master is very good on a lot of teams. And then lastly, we have Luan, which I think is probably the most underwhelming of everyone on this entire banner. Especially when it comes to his Dream Awakenings, they're kind of just eh. But if you want to either specialize him as a light killer or a demon killer, you can. Overall though, I will say if you're summoning on this banner, the main goal will be Orville D. Everyone else is just kind of there. And I would say a nice bonus to be able to pick up Sword God Luan alongside Orville D. So by now, you all should know, you should summon. If you're a free-to-play player, you should at least do your multi-summon. If you want to pity Orville, go right ahead. But just know there is a step-up Alk with his banner. So try to use all your Alk there before using all of your crystals. All my vets and everybody else out there, I'm pretty sure you guys are going to be summoning for Orville. Really, the only reason why I would say people won't summon for him, actually, I don't know why. I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't know why you wouldn't summon for Orville, but maybe there's a reason out there. This guy is absolutely cracked. I will be summoning for him. I will say the summon video will not be coming out Friday. It will be coming out probably Saturday, possibly even Monday, because I do have work all this weekend. But whenever I get done with all these 12-hour shifts, I got y'all. I promise. Either way though, that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you all so much for hanging out, and last but not least, you guys already know, don't forget to drink water.